Are we becoming too focused on CGI? Is CGI itself getting worse? Why does Transformers from 2007 look better than most modern films? 2023's The Flash is a recent example where a film soon became overshadowed by its very own visual effects. And with the rapidly advancing tech in the screen industry, every new blockbuster feels increasingly CGI heavy, excessively so, and it seems audiences are getting better at noticing. When The Flash first released back in July of 2023, the film's CGI became a major sticking point, and I think it's fair to say that a large consensus felt the CGI was rushed, unfinished, and of course my favourite criticism, rubbery. Just look at those babies. I've never seen so many comparisons to the graphics of a PS2 game.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Okay, other than the Flash TV show, of course.
Alexa and Fuerza together. We're not gonna win this today.
Please don't kill me. While the Speed Force portions of the film took the brunt of this criticism, the film's director, Andy Muschietti, stated, "We're in the perspective of the Flash. Everything is distorted in terms of lights and textures. We enter this water world which is basically being in Barry's point of view. It was part of the design, so if it looks a little weird to you, that was the intention."
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But this response was only met with further backlash, with many lamenting that this intended choice didn't explain the countless other sections of the film where the CGI was also extremely noticeable. So are we as an audience becoming harder to please, or are we just now seeing through the shiny coating of CGI? In other words, are we just too aware of it? The great Steven Spielberg once said, "Audiences are harder to please if you're just giving them visual effects, but they're easy to please if you give them a good story." But you see, in my humble opinion, the story of The Flash is objectively pretty good. While it doesn't redefine the genre or anything, just like every other superhero movie in recent years, it's heartfelt with an emotional core at its center while also being wickedly funny. Honestly, it's the most I've laughed in a theater for a long while. And this is usually a recipe for success, but the backlash to the CGI just seemed to drown out any enthusiasm and positivity left for the project. It was all you would see online, mixed in of course with the constant behind the scenes drama at DC and the Ezra Miller situation. It all worked together to create this idea that The Flash was terrible, this big unfinished mess. So how can we avoid this in the future? Will studios stop worshipping CGI, or do we need to cut Hollywood some slack? Well, perhaps it's a bit of both. There's some definite pointless CGI out there, likely emboldened by the massively overblown budgets recent studio films have, so keeping these budgets low may be an effective way of limiting excess and prioritizing quality and craft over quantity. But perhaps both we as an audience and the studios themselves should look back to that quote from Spielberg: "The story should always be what's most important, not the CGI. Oftentimes it just gets in the way." The Flash here is a good example, a good story hidden under the weight of controversial visual effects. So would a different approach have worked? How about an unrelenting, almost excessive need for realism, using only practical effects? Both Tom Cruise and Christopher Nolan are most known for embodying this other ideology, oftentimes resulting in a much needed, more authentic feel to the on-screen action in their films. And this drive for in-camera realism and practical effects also works to inspire truly inventive and creative filmmaking. Just look at Nolan's Oppenheimer. It's insane what they were able to do using only practical means. It's almost paying homage to the origin of special effects, where using creative in-camera trickery was the only option. There is perhaps something to be said then about working within constraints. There is freedom within constraints. However, this doesn't necessarily mean the practical effects only approach is perfect. It definitely has its limitations. Some shots just aren't feasible, and it hits a point where you just can't achieve it with only practicality. And in these moments when resorting to CGI, it suddenly becomes was more noticeable. A character like the Flash just wouldn't work within this approach. CGI is a brilliant tool and seemingly fundamental in helping craft a director's vision, but there must also be a way to not let it drown out the story of a film. There has to be. There should be a balance, an ambiguous middle ground where both practical effects and CGI can coexist in a more harmonious fashion. While in recent years the limitations of both extreme approaches have become more noticeable, I believe the greatest visual effects are those which remain invisible. So until next time, what do you guys think? As always, consider leaving us a like, subscribing, or sharing your thoughts in the comments below. We appreciate all the love recently. See you next time.